Hi, everyone. This is the 23rd, what month is it? May 23rd API Machinery meeting. And our agenda is pretty light, so we'll have an informal chat here and see what happens. David was just about to tell us how we're on the naughty list for flakes, so.
Yeah, we're on the naughty list for flakes. The garbage collection E2E tests have been flaking, and so has the aggregator should work with a 1.7 server test. I don't think it's related to the 1.7 server in particular, but it is also flaking. I haven't been able to see why. Has anyone else looked?
I know I saw both Jenny, Howey, and Jordan talking on at least one of those. Oh,
okay. If there's a direction or if someone has already figured it out and they just need a pull reviewed, that would be perfect. Slightly less perfect would be if they have a suggestion for why. Apparently it got really bad all at once. George showed me like the list of commits in, and nothing stood out. So it's a
the last comment I saw on that was the last comment I saw on that was that it was it was breaking before it even got to the test, like the setup part was failing.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the E2E tests know that the setup time for it to wait the replication controller to create the pod. And so we might have multiple potential cause for the test failure. So one is the garbage collector has a race condition when it does resync, rediscovery, where some of the API groups might be deleted when it tries to resync, and that might cause the garbage collector to hang and don't respond forever. And Jenny has a PR that's fixing that. Another potential cause I saw was after we used the new dynamic client for garbage collector, we bumped the QPS for garbage collector once, but we removed the bump 20 times bump for the QPS because of some scalability test issue. So that might results in garbage collector stuff for QPS, but I haven't checked.
Because I remember Wojtek coming in and saying the reason that it was slow is that we hammered the API server too much. And so he opened the pull to pull it back out, which seemed fine to me. QPS is so tricky. Only limit me when I need to be limited.
I commented in the PR that's reverting the QPS. I said maybe we should just change it to 20. That should be enough to restore the original speed, rather than 100.
Do we really think the QPS limit is causing the flakes?
No, not for I don't think it's for the test flakes, but for to make the garbage collector's performance to be as good as in 110, I think we need to set a QPS.
Yeah, I have no objection to optimizing the QPS. I do object to leaving these tests leaking though. So how would more eyes help, or do you think that you're going to have it under control by the next time we meet, or?
I will take a look.
Okay. Feel free to chat in the Slack channel or grab people or yeah.
Also, is the garbage collector going to hang forever, or is it just going to resume once it starts the next round of discovery?
So multiple logs that the garbage collector has forever.
it doesn't seem like the logs are the same for all of the flakes. Like some of them it will hang forever, and some of them it fails the resync and doesn't resync again. There's multiple different, different causes.
Okay.
Cool.
That was on my mind just because tests have been really read, and then I got a nag note. So go on SIG test for sending the nag note.
Yeah, I haven't been paying too much attention because I've seen the issue, but I've also seen that Jordan and Jenny and Howie have been saying things on it. So, okay. For those who joined late, we started without an agenda, so I think everybody's busy working on the release. So, agenda items. Is there anything anybody here would like to discuss?
So I came in to see from an outside perspective. I was trying to find if there's like a work ongoing on the API Machinery charter. I wasn't able to find. If there's something.
Is this the charter that we get from like SIG-off and CLI talking about who owns which pieces?
Yeah, so they're going around writing drafts. I was just wondering if API Machinery has started because
This
I'm
is
interesting figuring
Although I
out.
guess it should be legitimately on our to-do list.
I
So the answer is
this
it's
the-
not started yet.
This is the first I've heard of it.
And I knew of it. I didn't realize that we had chosen a particular template. I thought that there were 3 SIGs going forward, making the charters to start. We're going to go from there.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if API Machinery is one of the ones that is already started. And the reason I asked is because some of this came out of the SIG platform dev proposal that we got a recommendation to say, talk to API Machinery. They haven't made their charter yet, and let's see if we can negotiate that charter such that it can fit in some of the stuff we were planning to do so that we would belong here. I didn't want to start talking about that, but I just wanted to know, like,
Okay.
status on the charter, and it seems like it's not happening.
The status is not started.
Future history is written by the victors, so if you put together the draft, Anthony, you'd have a good chance of being in.
I don't know. The last time I wrote a charter, it didn't go so well. So maybe you're not when you want.
What about some other SIGs? Do they have charter?
SIG Apps has one in progress. SIG-off.
CLI also has one in progress.
Some of the guinea pigs are going
This
forward.
actually sounds potentially relevant to my interests, so not that I have any time for it, but I'm interested.
There's not any rush on my end, but I just wanted
Okay.
to know,
Is there like
am I
a
correct in
is there like a document on what this is supposed to be and why we're supposed to do it?
they're putting together such documents.
Okay.
Is there a deadline for it?
Sorry?
Is there a deadline for it?
I don't think so.
Yeah. There is a doc saying what it's for, why we're doing it. Phil wrote it up a while back. I remember seeing it referenced in the SIG-off one.
But maybe I can just include a thought inception for later on for you to think in the background. One of the big things we wanted to talk about was if you're trying to help people write controllers, control loops, and reconciliation, does that fit into SIG API Machinery? The current mission statement kind of omits that, and I was wondering if that's intentional, but
I don't think so. I mean, figure the original.
I think it wasn't a problem we really had when we wrote the mission statement, or where I think I just kind of wrote that like a long time ago, and I don't know how well it's aged.
So that's just something to consider in the background. In the future, do we want that to live in the same place as the current definition of API Machinery?
I've been thinking about something somewhat similar, which is how do we, I think we need to think about scaling up SIG API Machinery, and I think the way that seems right to me at the moment is by adding sub-projects. So potentially this is like if you look, we already have a lot of sub-projects.
Well, one of our sub-projects is actually a sample controller. We're also the people that wrote the how do you write a controller doc in the community repo.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think that we want to have an exclusive ownership of it, but we certainly have opinions.
So the two interesting cases to me are the core controllers seem to be part of SIG apps, which is really multiple efforts. One is the core controllers, and the other is the KSonnet Helm area of investment.
Yeah, they own the particulars, but we wrote the underlying pieces. So the reflectors, informers, listers, cachers, all the pieces that get built up into those.
Yeah.
Which is why we wrote the doc about how to use them. So let me see if I can link it in here.
And then there's the controller manager. It seems to have collaborative effort on it instead of a clear ownership also.
The actual controller manager command.
The binary, yeah.
Yeah, so that ended up,
I've been telling everybody to talk to Walter. He's
yeah,
out
so
right now.
Now there is a cloud controller manager.
Yeah, now there's a cloud controller manager too.
yeah, so the Kube controller manager, there is action this release trying to refactor and split apart the monolithic config that we have to line us up to have a versioned structured config instead. Stefan's been working on that, and a community member, Stuart Yu, has been doing a lot of work in the area. And I don't know who Stuart Yu is, have no idea, but he's been doing a lot of the grind, so kudos, whoever you are. Is that one of you guys?
No.
Which effort?
Stuart Yu, he's been going through and in the controller manager and the cloud controller manager, trying to work us towards having a structured versioned config, right? You know how the kubelet now has a structured config file?
Yeah.
Stuart has been refactoring monolithic pieces, breaking them apart, identifying subcomponents, reusing generic pieces, and moving us forward that way. He had a big pull merge recently. He's got another large pull in Cube.
Is that similar to Michael Toffin's effort on component config?
It is similar in that they're both structured configs. It has not been developed to the point where we are trying to do the figure out how to swap one for the other. Right now, we're still trying to assess what we have.
Okay, just trying to figure out what's connected to what other things.
Yeah. This is necessary, but it's not doing it, right? Like, to be able to create a structured config, you have to know what config you actually have.
Sure.
And it turns out we have a lot of config, and he's trying to figure out what's related to which.
That's great. So it sounds like good discussion to have around the scope and limits of API machinery moving forward, and maybe finding homes for some orphans along the way.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And I think that trending direction is around sub-projects over new SIG. So.
Yeah, I think for the scalability of the overall project, we probably have to do that. Okay, more topics.
That's all that's on my island.
Are we really going to do this in 15 minutes? It's fine for me.
Them bugs. We are very, very red.
All right, maybe everybody can take the time we're getting back and go look at our flaky tests. All right, see y'all in 2 weeks.